Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of the Division Z podcast. My name is Jason. Cosmic is not joining us today, but today I am joined by a very special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What is going on, everybody? This is DKDynamite, and thank you so much, Jason, for inviting me to another episode of Division Z. I think the last time I was on was like 8 months ago. It was, I think, August of last year, almost a full year.
Yeah, it was somewhere around that time. I think it was roughly around like season 5, season 6-ish, kind of that area of Cold War. So it's definitely been a while, and we wanted to have you on again because, I mean, hey, Cold War Year 2, man, what is there not to love? And you were the first person I thought of in my head. I was like, all right, Cold War Year 2 stuff, the person we got to talk to is DK. I mean, come on.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, no, it's been a wild couple of months. I will say, yeah, I was on last before the tragedy of Vanguard, but I'm happy that we at least have something exciting to get through with Cold War Year 2. It's been a really lucky year, I would say, for Cold War fans because Treyarch didn't owe us anything. They didn't guarantee us a year 2, and I don't even think a year 2 would have existed if not for the downfall of Vanguard or just even zombies altogether too. I think year 2 of Cold War might have existed for multiplayer, but maybe not for zombies if Vanguard performed well. That's kind of my thought process with that right now.
I think that's a pretty good take on that. I would have to agree with that. I mean, jumping right into it with, just Cold War Year 2 and what's been going on with the community and how kind of disconnected everybody is with Vanguard and nobody really, like, I hate to sound negative and I hate to sound like I'm shitting all over the developers because I kind of don't want to, but it's like nobody gives a shit about Vanguard right now. And that's just the sad reality.
Right.
I mean, it shows you something where the Super Easter egg in Cold War, the previous game, got more hype than anything Season 3 had to offer for Vanguard. Sure. I mean, what is going on in Season 3 of Vanguard besides Godzilla and King Kong later this week, you know?
I really would love to see, or would have loved to see, what Season 3 would have been like without that crossover event. Like if Monarch didn't exist, which it doesn't even start until, this Wednesday, the 11th?
Yeah.
Without that, I really wonder what Season 3 would have looked like because there's really not much being offered. If anything, the bare minimum for the premium game, right? It was a map and 2 guns, and then the other maps coming in like mid-season. But that alone feels like year 2 for Vanguard. Like that's what the content feels like. Like it's on a year 2 with bare minimum. And I made a joke that we literally got a trophy system on a roadmap. Like that to me, I'm glad I listened to fan feedback because they needed to add that. I mean, you're saying it's against realism because it didn't exist during World War II, but then you have, a big monkey versus a big lizard. So
yeah,
it was time to add a trophy. I think the game needed it, but seeing that on a roadmap just felt silly to me. It was just like, really, dude? Like that's the content you're marketing. Yeah,
that's for sure. I mean, especially when they added the ray gun to zombies too. It's like, guys, look, the ray gun. It's like, okay, we know the ray gun. I mean, Cosmic and I joke about that all the time, where it's like, you remember King Kong storming the beaches of Normandy? I mean, come on, man.
Oh yeah. Snoop Dogg as well. Yeah, Snoop Dogg was also pimping out in the in the 40s, the 50s. I mean, I guess that works, right? But it's something I bring up too, like in various videos or even the podcast too. I'm like, hey, it kind of feels weird to support crossover bundles for a game like Vanguard when the game's already down like tragically. It feels like you're almost giving them a pass for that kind of content. You're giving them a pass on the shortcomings of the game by spending $20 on the Godzilla or Snoop Dogg. It's just like, and that's why people are always like, oh, but why are you supporting Cold War bundles? It's like, well, I actually play that game hell of a lot more, and the game was never in a state that Vanguard is in. But I know you've probably heard the rumors that apparently you can't use any of our bundles in Warzone 2. That's not confirmed yet. So that's another reason people are like, hey, what's the point of even buying bundles anymore if you can't use them? It's a fair point. I get it.
True.
I get it for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, with the fact of the matter is that with the main reason is I think a lot of people are going to be buying these Godzilla and King Kong packs are going to be for Warzone, I think specifically because of just the immense player base of Warzone. And I mean, I I don't know, man. I haven't seen a single person rock a Godzilla skin yet in Vanguard, but I've already seen dozens in
Yeah,
Warzone.
I have
So
seen a lot in Warzone.
I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know. It just seems like that. But I mean, hey, with some of the news that you've been covering recently, with some of the other bundles coming out potentially soon for Cold War Year 2, I mean, those bundles are actually really freaking cool. So
yeah,
there's
yeah. They
there's
are.
like a reason to do that, and especially Cold War being a good game, I feel like there's more of a reason to do that because, like you said earlier, Treyarch doesn't have a reason to do this right now. They, realistically, by this time they'll be working on their next game or
Yeah,
whatever support for 2023. But obviously there's maybe a free to play. Are they support on that? Or they're like, what's going on with that?
right.
So like
I think,
they're really
yeah,
juggling a lot. They're really trying to appease the fan base for the meantime to kind of be like, hey, enjoy this stuff in this game, just have fun
right.
there, and then we'll just play it by ear is what it all seems like to me right now.
Right, right, right. I think it's definitely an interesting case with year two because I still see comments to this day like, "Oh, when does year two start? What's going on with it?" It's like, well, it's not going to be this 1 day thing where there's like a giant roadmap and trailer and
Right.
like a massive content drop. And we actually just got a massive content drop the other day. But aside
Mm-hmm.
from that, it's really a sporadic thing, similar to the way Modern Warfare year two did it, where it's like hopefully an update at least a couple times a month, once a month. MW
Yeah.
got stuff. I think it was like 3 times total in the summer, but Cold War Year 2
Yeah.
started even when Vanguard came out. And like you said, the bundles have been superb. And if the
Yeah.
bundles were just filler and weak, I likely wouldn't have bought them. I will just talk about them. But like you
Mm-hmm.
said, the bundles have been stacked with, we're talking ultra animated skins and mastercrafts and tracers and crazy things, even new operators, new weapons. It's like, yeah, it's really fun to actually go ahead and cover. And we have one more for the month of May. I think it's the Pharaoh Egyptian animated skin,
Yes.
and then after that, there's quite a few others that are hopefully scheduled for June. So we're looking good for the summer, and we still have the stockpile bundle never came out yet. The RGB
True.
striker skin, which looks beautiful. But yeah, I played a little bit of Warzone the other day, and I saw a number of Godzillas. But luckily, the new SMG, the UGR, is fantastic in all modes. It's a lot of
Yes.
fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yes,
I
that
really enjoy
perfectly
it.
transitions to the next thing I was going to bring up, which is the UGR in jungle. I mean,
Yeah,
I think the UGR kind of took everyone by surprise in a roundabout way. If you're not following all the leaks and all the rumors and stuff, if you don't watch DK
right.
Dynamite, basically. So,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, hey, the UGR is a pretty great gun. I mean, for zombies, it's pretty good. I was using it in Warzone the other day, and I dropped a 19 bomb on Rebirth, and that
Ooh,
that shit is so
beautiful.
good. It's so
It's
good. I'm telling you, man.
it's literally the Stingray's little brother. If you remember that weapon from
Yeah,
BO4,
I
which is the
love the
explosive bullets,
Stingray.
it's literally the little brother of the Stingray. It's
Yeah.
actually insane. I know for zombies you want to take off the explosive rounds because it does
Yes.
less damage, but MP and Warzone, you're flying with those rounds. And
Oh yeah.
I think the blueprint that came with the Lazar bundle, that came preset with literally some of the best attachments,
Mm-hmm.
but when you're just going with the base weapon and working your way up, you really have to unlock some attachments before you feel comfortable with it. That's what I've been hearing from people
Yeah,
around me that
definitely.
didn't buy the bundle. Yeah,
It
it's
definitely
fun,
for
man.
multiplayer specifically too. I mean, even without the
Right.
explosive rounds, the UGR still fries.
Oh yeah,
Um,
big time,
it's just
big
just
time.
one of those really good weapons to honestly rival the AK-74U or rival the Milano in Warzone and Black Ops Cold War and things like
Right,
that.
right,
Which is
right,
kind of how I felt with the Vargo when that came out, kind of rivaling the Krig and the XM4 and the AK-47 and whatever. So,
right.
um, and then of course Jungle coming out, obviously a fan favorite map. A lot of people know Jungle, and hey, why the hell not, right? Just keep bringing back more remastered maps.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people would probably agree with me when I say, bring back more Black Ops 1 maps and maybe even some more Black Ops
for
2
sure,
maps.
for
Um,
sure.
I mean, I don't know about you, but there's this one map that I distinctly remember from Black Ops 2 being super, super unique. I mean, definitely reskin it for a Cold War theme, but it was called Magma. You remember Magma?
Magma, yeah, with the lava everywhere. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
great. That
like
was a
I
great
feel
one.
like that would be a really interesting map to bring back to
Yep.
Cold War, but like maybe make it a Cold War themed kind of a style map or something. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
just
think
like
the
to see
cool thing
more.
is Treyarch feels like us because yeah, we're shows right. We could definitely
Oh
acknowledge
yeah.
that nearly every map, yeah, nearly every map for BO1 and 2 would play excellent in Cold War. Because I saw, I think a suggestion somewhere that Cold War kind of is like a modern day BO2 the way it plays, and I think that's
Hmm.
that's a fair point. I mean, it's probably controversial. It might be a hot take, but every map plays well. Like it's just the way it is. And I don't know if it's the kill streak system, the weapons, the visibility. It's something about it. And that's why it goes back to another point too that I made a few times, which is that I knew Vanguard wasn't going to be that great this year. I already had a feeling from the moment that it leaked out. You know, it was codenamed Slipstream, whatever it was. I had a feeling. We probably talked about it last episode I was on. I already had a feeling Vanguard wasn't going to be that great. But what I didn't expect was for year 2 to be this hot. I thought it'd be like, it's like a weird year. I just didn't know that year 2 was going to be this hot. And that's why, like you said, more maps are I think almost inevitable. I mean, there was a rumor about all the Back in Black maps coming back, and we've gotten 2 of the 4 of those, right? Because we've gotten Slums and Jungle, but we're waiting for Firing Range and Summit. I think those are in the pipeline, or just any remaster from BO4 is a very easy port for them. There was quite a few of those in the Black Ops Pass. It was Havana. I know Grind was free, but then they had WMD. And then also at launch of BO4, you had Firing Range, Jungle, Slum, Summit. So I think those are certainly plausible for Cold War at any point this year.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think the way the game is going, I come maybe, I don't know, early July, maybe, or maybe end of June, maybe space it out a little bit more with what's going on. I would probably expect that to be the next year 2 update.
Right.
But we'll see what happens there. But kind of back to what you were saying about the maps in Cold War kind of playing well. I think I would definitely touch on the visibility aspect of that for Cold War, because I don't know about you, man, but sometimes in Vanguard I just go, is that a person?
What happened? Yeah, right.
Like, and then they like blend in so perfectly to the background, and then obviously people got red dot over their head to notify that they're an enemy. Sometimes that just doesn't even show up. So
that's
it's like
almost like a Modern Warfare issue too. It's like the visibility problem where it's too realistic to where it's like not even fun when COD's meant to be arcadey, and everyone has their preference. So I guess subjective, but like you said, you want to see that red dot over their head, the whole fog of war system that always helps. But in Vanguard, combine that with the TTK problem. I call it a TTK problem because if you look at the values of the TTK, it's actually similar to many previous CODs. It's not really different. It must be the weapon balancing to where it feels like every gunfight's like hardcore one tap, like very little room for error and for an actual gunfight. You're just snap of a finger, you're dead. It's like I just don't feel like that's COD.
I would agree with that, man. I've been playing a lot of ranked play recently for Vanguard. And to be honest, I think I said this last time on the podcast, but like one of the main or 2 of the reasons why I'm coming back to Vanguard is to just try things out for the new season, see how they play, make a tutorial here and there or whatever, and then ranked play, because I want to get better at competitive COD. I want to kind of be more in that realm to really understand what's happening in that area of Call of Duty, so I might as well get better. So I mean, dude, those gunfights in competitive, I would agree, it's just like, oh, you were 0.111 milliseconds off and you're dead,
right
like it's insane.
Some people like that, and that I get it, that's fine, but I just don't remember COD ever really feeling like that unless you're playing hardcore. I mean, MW definitely is the closest to it, but I don't know, not that I like super long TTKs. Maybe the weapons just need to be balanced better to where there's an actual gunfight happening where there's a chance for you to fire back to snap back on them. You know what I mean? Like that. I just feel like that's been lost, especially with Vanguard. And I'm curious what values we're going to see in MW2 with the weapon statistics and your health and whatnot. Yeah, it's going to be fun. I think even BO4, I mean, it had a slow TTK, but you had to use a stim shot, no auto health regen and whatnot. That was crazy.
That was pretty crazy. I mean, the thing with Black Ops 4 too, I feel like that was such an innovative idea too, that, it was kind of annoying at some times where it's like, I'm not regenerating my health, I'm at 1 HP. But I mean, it got you kind of playing a little bit more tactically more so than actual games that claim to be realistic, right? So it's just, I don't know. It just seems like, especially with the way Modern Warfare was, Modern Doorfare, and all that. Warfare. I mean, I don't know. I especially after Vanguard, I do not want any more doors. I do not want any more destructible environments. Like I'm done with that now. Like I'm so done with it.
I feel you, dude. I have a silly question for you though. Did you want me to record this? I know this is such a late question to ask into the podcast.
It's all up to you, man. I'm recording it on my end here.
Okay, I was on a different pod recently, and I had to record my perspective. I thought about it like a couple minutes ago. I'm like, oh crap, was I supposed to be recording? My bad.
Oh no, it's all good. I got you here, and
appreciate it. No, just gotta make sure. What a bad guest I am for not asking that at the beginning. I should ask it. Imagine we're this deep in. I have to restart. Yeah.
Hey, no worries, man. I mean, hey, I always make sure Cosmic and I always make sure the guests have to do the bare minimum.
Okay.
For what's going on, we make sure everything's set up on our end. So you're all good.
Perfect. Yeah, but with the MW2 logo reveal, I mean, I have to admit, right when I saw that logo, I'm like, okay, they got me with that logo. I'm like, wow, as a sexy logo for MW2. Hearing that distinct sound in the teaser that they posted on Twitter, that like the night vision goggles turning on, I'm like, okay. But it was meant to do that, right? That's marketing 101. They want to entice you with that first teaser. But they did because before that, I was like, I was optimistic about it. We cover COD full time, so we kind of have to give a crap, right? But no, that logo really, I mean, so far it got me intrigued to see what's next. And I think the global reveal is scheduled for like June 2nd during Summer Games Fest or something. Yeah, something like that. Very soon. That would
be very interesting, man. I mean, we'll either get like a campaign trailer most likely, or maybe just like, I don't know, for Dansk 2. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Who knows with that?
Oh man, yeah. It's just, look, I'm optimistic about it. I want it to be successful, not just because of
for sure
covering COD full time, for the sake of the community. We need, MW is a very convenient franchise, right? Because the first one came out at a time when COD needed it. I mean, BO4 wasn't received that great. It introduced us to, because MW introduced us to crossplay, free DLC, the seasonal structure, battle passes, all these new things on top of then the lockdowns hitting, so people were at home playing. It was the very convenient time. It came out at a convenient time. Then Warzone came out, juiced that up. MW2 is about to come out at a time when COD's also in a pretty rough state because of Vanguard.
True.
Caldera's not great. I mean, it's convenient how MW is released. 2 times in a row now. It's gonna revive what's down at the moment. So
for sure,
I'm interested. I'm hoping for a lot of changes to the play style of the first game, because God, it was really a gap year for a lot of us. I don't know if you played it much, but a lot of people, to your surprise, really skipped out on that game because it just wasn't it. It wasn't.
Yeah, dude, I can relate to that. I didn't get Modern Warfare until like March, April. Like I just wasn't really interested in that because I was still having a ton of fun with BO4 Zombies and just having fun with that. But then I got the game and started playing it. I was like, it's okay. Like, it's got its good moments in it, but like, it's not the greatest in the world to me. Like, it's mid. It's mid to me. The things that I do like about Modern Warfare, though, that I do hope come back to Modern Warfare 2, one of them, the main thing being gunfight. I love gunfight. That's one of my favorite multiplayer game modes ever in Modern Warfare, in Cold War. I love playing gunfight. I want that to come back in Modern Warfare 2. Champion Hill wasn't it. It just wasn't it to replace gunfight. I don't think
it was so promising. And this is something that I remember Fajardi told me on, I think we were streaming. What was it? The alpha for Vanguard that had the Champion Hill? I think it was the alpha.
Yeah.
I'm streaming it, and Fajardi makes a comment. He's like, "Hey, they're never gonna update this mode, right?" And I'm like, "Nah, dude, this is gonna be like the gunfight of the game. They're gonna add tournaments and free blueprints, more maps." And he was right. They have not updated it a single time. The mode is done. I mean, we've looked at all types of rumors for Vanguard that popped up from, the scoopers and the leakers that I've covered. They're like, hey, gunfight's coming to Vanguard. This is coming. Leprechaun. Everything's been canceled. Like, Vanguard is right now the king of canceled DLC.
Oh, for sure.
You would think Black Ops 4 is, but no, Vanguard definitely has topped it. But I'm just happy that year 2 for Cold War has been during Vanguard cycle and not during a game that's going to be as big as Modern Warfare 2. Because that would have been a little rough if we're like, we're trying to get interested in MW2, but then Cold War is like calling our name again. It's like, no, luckily it was this year with Vanguard. All the content's getting canceled. There's not much going on. We're able to go back to Cold War smoothly and whatnot. But I think MW definitely did a lot of things that I respected and enjoyed. And I'm hoping that they polish that up for the sequel. I'm really, really hopeful about it.
100%. I mean, the fact of the matter is, even though it might not seem like everything is super great right now in the community, I honestly think this is really good timing for everything. I think this is really good timing for, laying the groundwork for the future of Call of Duty, because now it almost feels like sides have been chosen, not like sides in the way of like, oh,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
studio is better
yeah.
than your studio. It's more of like,
Right, right.
which studio is on the side of, okay, the fans will like this, and which studio is on the side of, okay, you need to like not make a game. So like, to
Yeah,
me,
dude. Oh my god.
that's what it seems like to me,
Yeah.
where a lot of the fans have really sharpened their opinions in a way to be like, okay,
For
Vanguard,
sure.
this really isn't good. Like, how did this get
Everybody
released?
everybody agrees with that. There's like a collective
Yeah.
agreement of like this should not happen again. I
Yeah.
mean, I mentioned this in a tweet the other day. I was like, we're all on the same side, regardless of what playstyle you prefer. But
Yeah.
it does almost feel like propaganda with the way that people have gassed up MW to be like the second coming of Christ. And it's like the data just came out. I don't know if you saw that data. They got posted by Nero Cinema. I know Exclusive Ace talked about it. I actually have a video recorded about it. I'm going to post it later. There's data suggesting that MW actually had the biggest dip in player retention in Call of Duty history. So
Wow.
and it also essentially claims that Activision in their investors call, again, this is just allegedly because we don't have the actual data in front of us. This is data that was posted by verified gaming analysts. And who are we to say, oh, that's legit? That's not. He's a verified analyst. So we're just going to take his word right now as fact. He's claiming that, yeah, Activision was showing data on their investors call that this is the player count. It looks that good, but it was including COD Mobile. Or I think, yeah, it was including COD Mobile. But then if you look at the data that this other person posted and you subtract COD Mobile, MW was doing horrendously.
Wow.
And the data also says that the pandemic did not even help COD. It was actually still dipping. Warzone certainly boosted it. Everybody knows that. But what the data says is that Cold War actually peaked. Right. And it's like, of course, us being Treyarch shills, we're gonna enjoy seeing that news because we like the game so much. But no, I don't care what the data says. I would have talked about it anyway. I would have said, hey, here's what it is. But what that tells you is that MW is not the game that people have made it out to be. So is this sequel coming out this fall? Is it really going to be as big as Activision claimed that it is? I mean, would you even put it past Activision to exaggerate or to not tell the entire truth about the data? I wouldn't put it past them, but hey, that is, I believe, illegal to do that in an investor's call. I don't know. I mean,
here's the thing, man. Considering that they're super tight-lipped about being public about SBMM and super tight-lipped about, what's really going on. I mean, especially with everything happening with Bobby Kotick and, all that kind of stuff. Very, very shady behind the scenes dealings, it seems. Everything seems very corrupt there. To me, I honestly would not put it past them. And I think the matter of the fact is, if the data is, talking about, well, yeah, with Modern Warfare taking that dip, but then, Warzone also bringing it up. I think because Warzone is its own kind of entity. Correct. That, Modern Warfare by itself would probably, dip more because more people want to be playing Warzone, and Activision knows Warzone is their cash cow right now. So, I mean, especially with COD Mobile, such an underrated part of Call of Duty that a lot of people don't really pay attention to, myself included. Like, I made a couple of COD Mobile videos here and there, but like, I never really paid that much attention to it, which is surprising to see that it has so much traction with people in the community. But yeah, no, I definitely think that with Modern Warfare dipping, like you were saying, based off of that data, with the fact is that Warzone, I think, was the main thing that kind of maybe made people think Modern Warfare was bigger than it was, because, Warzone was originally tied to Modern Warfare, but then Warzone is its own separate entity, and that's kind of has its own player base. So
yeah, it's complicated. It's in the same application. Things get messy with the data, and I get it. The data might not be perfect, and we've all acknowledged that. Anybody that's talked about it, but it's like, oh, well, with the base game sales for MW were the best. I'm like, okay, if I bought 1,000 copies of MW and didn't open a single one of them, look at how that skews the data a little bit. Look how that changes the way data looks. It's like, I could buy 1,000 copies and not have a single person touch any of them. What does that really mean in the long run, right? Player retention after updates and people that are buying bundles, that's the data that Activision really cares about. Base game sales do matter, don't get me wrong, but it's like I said, the example, it's like, what does that really mean? But to your point as well about the cash cow, COD Mobile is actually, I think, a bigger cash cow than Warzone. And then I think it's Candy Crush. Yeah, I think it's
Candy Crush. I mean,
I don't know if it's COD Mobile first or Candy Crush first. One of those two are first. And then, so those are the first two. And then Warzone should be like number 3 in terms of like their cash cows. Premium CODs are not really at the top. And I mean, maybe they're hoping to revive that before the Microsoft acquisition. But if you have to speculate, put your tinfoil hat on and be like, hey, why would they lie about data like that? Why would they exaggerate it or not include parts of the truth? Well, maybe they just want to gas up their last COD before Microsoft really takes over, because they won't be in charge after this Modern Warfare. So maybe they just want to gas it up and be like, hey, on our way out, let's get out a banger and make it seem like it's the second coming of Christ or something. I mean, we can theorize all day about that, but it's a really funny conversation because the copium that exists, and you've seen it everywhere about Cold War success. I mean, a lot of people that are like, oh, it was a step backwards compared to MW. It's like, no, it wasn't a step backwards. It was a step in a different direction, trying to be its own game on its own 2 feet. Vanguard would have been the same case. Vanguard would have been the same case if they had time to make it. Sledgehammer didn't have time to make that game. So it's an MW clone with, nerf slide canceling and some changes to the Modern Warfare gameplay. But Cold War is its own game completely. It wasn't trying to be an MW clone. And people still cope about how successful that game really was. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, with the fact of the matter is that Cold War is kind of the not anti-modern warfare, but it's almost like it's almost like the modern warfare for people that don't want to play modern warfare in a way, if that makes sense. Where you have the same system of the battle pass and seasonal free content, and, but it's like Treyarch is like a Treyarch styled that, and I think I can speak for a lot of people, or maybe even the majority of the people in the community. I don't know, but from what I've seen, that Treyarch's done this the best. And Treyarch is probably the goats of Call of Duty at this point because of the games that they've made and all the hard work that they've been doing recently and all the strenuous work they've been doing recently, being stretched super thin between Black Ops Cold War, their next game, 2023, Vanguard Zombies, Vanguard Ranked Play. Like they're just being so stretched out, and they're just pounding all the work. Yeah. I also said this on a previous episode. It all like Sledgehammer, Vanguard doesn't feel like Sledgehammer's game anymore. It really doesn't. Like it's really unfortunate. It's really, really unfortunate, and it makes me kind of go, okay, yeah, maybe they're working on the multiplayer and they're doing multiplayer maps and bundles and whatever, right? But
we have yet to see what's going on there.
But like, what's going on with Treyarch's doing the zombies, Treyarch's doing the ranked play.
Yeah.
People didn't really like the campaign too much, so people aren't going to go back to play the campaign over and over again. So then that just leaves one game mode in multiplayer for them to pick up the slack on, because campaign will never get DLC, which is kind of a sad thing. I wish campaigns did get DLC, but I guess you got the end cutscenes for the seasons and things like that, right? That's kind of an extension of that, but I mean, I don't know. It's just wild. It's just a really, really wild time to be a Call of Duty fan.
It reminds me of that tweet from Jev where he's like, guys, and he at Sledgehammer because he's like, where is everybody? No, because it's like, dude, Sledgehammer expanded to become, I think they're the biggest studio right now. They've expanded across, what was it, Melbourne and Toronto. They're all over the place now. What do they have to show for it yet? They've expanded. What are they? Clearly, their focus is not on Vanguard. It's on something else, because you can't tell me they're going to expand like that. And we're getting one map and one gun a season. There's no way. There's no way that's the case. But back to that data we were talking about, if it is indeed true, I will say, hey, if you really wonder why Cold War peaked like that, it's like, well, you could have the copium answer, which is, people were just, trying to level up weapons for Warzone. Why didn't MW's data look like that then if it was just for leveling weapons? Clearly, Outbreak was doing something right. Zombies was doing something right. Zombies was a big factor in, I think, Cold War's success. 100%.
Very true.
Being really casually driven and open to new players. But I think Treyarch, like you said, it just nails it with marketing, hype, energy, roadmaps, the content itself. They just nailed that to keep the player retention. I don't care how good the game is at launch. That matters a lot for sure. But the post-launch updates are huge. And when there's no care put into the post-launch updates, people notice and they leave. They go play other things. It's simple as that. But then you think back to like COD in the old days, one map pack every 3 months. People were used to that, and maybe played other games in between and then came back for those map packs. But with the way COD is now, with the expectations being set, we're looking at almost weekly updates at least. And that's important to do now to keep up with the gaming industry. So Treyarch just happens to do that the best, in my opinion. Again, we're going to get called shills like we always do, but it's like at this point, look at everybody else's track record compared to Treyarch's in terms of their content. That's just what we're dealing with there. You know what I mean? It's like I would
100% agree with that. I mean, with everything that was, it's super important for live servicing, because with everything going on in gaming, not just Call of Duty, everything's live servicing now. Everything's, weekly update this, weekly update that, to really get those player retention numbers as high as they can be, and to just, try to make fun content, right? But Yeah, with Cold War and the zombies part of it too. I think the thing that's super appealing about zombies is that there's something for the casual and there's something for the hardcore player too. And I know a
For
lot of
sure.
people out there in the zombies community would probably say, "Oh, well, this game is just too easy, and it's super easy to get to round 100 or whatever." And then in the same breath, guys, I need you to help me fight Legion.
I put out a meme about that. Majority made it for me. He's like,
Yep.
bro, tweet this. I put it. I'm sure you saw it. The
Yeah.
reason why the tweet probably did as crazy as it did is because it is true. I mean, the hypocrisy is just absolutely ridiculous with Cold War. And then they that like what you said. Oh, help me with Legion, and then the Super Easter egg gets released, and they're like, I'm not playing. I'm not gonna fight Legion for a couple emblems and a weapon rarity upgrade. It's like, dude. It's BO4 didn't even get a Super Easter egg, not even a sticker when Gauntlets were getting them. I was really, really grateful for something in this game. Like, if it was just the emblems, I would have been like, yeah, it's underwhelming, whatever. But that weapon upgrade really goes a long way. And yeah, it's really helpful for round-based Onslaught, anything.
For sure, man.
And I'm sure more would have happened. It's like I always say, more would have definitely happened for year 2. New content too for MP and zombies, but they're too busy cleaning up Sledgehammer's mess. I mean, there's 3 modes being updated in Vanguard. 2 of them are being led by Treyarch.
Yep.
That kind of tells you what's going on. It's like,
yeah. Oh, for
that's
sure,
why
dude.
we're in a predicament.
And especially since every time I play Vanguard, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, by the way, every time I play Vanguard, I get booted off. I get disconnected.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it tells me I'm not connected to the internet when I will literally be streaming the game. Or, ever since the Vanguard integration to Warzone as well, I've been getting disconnected from Warzone. Oh, you don't have an internet connection. Or my favorite one, where it's like, you've been disconnected from the Vanguard servers. Reason, Dover Beale.
Yeah,
and I just go, yeah, I know what that means. Yeah, okay, for sure. It's just ridiculous too. Oh, and then the funniest thing about it is too, it happens during ranked play. So with ranked play, you get, when you get disconnected, you lose skill rating and you lose, you drop down your weekly ladder and shit like that.
Oh my god!
And if you disconnect too many times, that's unsportsmanlike, and you get a temporary ban. And so I've been temporarily banned like a handful of times because of this crap.
I guess it can't detect, like, did you actually disconnect or did you unplug your Infinity router because you got mad you lost or something? It can't tell the difference, dude. I mean, I've had issues too, man, while streaming as well. So everyone sees this live. You cannot make this up. The first issue is I have Ethernet everywhere, and the PS5 lately has not been cooperating on the Ethernet. It'll just disconnect the LAN mid-game, boot me off the match, and then reconnect instantly. So it's like, okay, Ethernet's not cooperating. I don't know if it's a hardware issue. I don't know if the cable's bad. That's one thing. The other thing is very sad to me, which is Cold War stability being shot, because ever since the Vanguard integration with the rankings, the battle pass, Cold War failed to host lobby. There was a UI error the other day. You go on your friends list, your whole game freezes. You have to reset. I
saw that one.
The other one was what's the other one? The other one's like if you're in a 6-man, it'll just start booting people randomly. It'll choose who to boot. Like, randomly, choose your friends, like game-breaking issues. And it's very sad to see, because I'm not a big MW guy, but I know MW fans out there were so upset because that game has still been like tragically broken ever since Warzone got integrated a long time ago. That game doesn't work. Like, campaign's buggy, Spec Ops is nearly unplayable, MP has its weird issues. Like, yeah, it's pretty bad right now in terms of stability. It's really unfortunate. It's sad, dude.
100%. It says something when I'm trying to invite people and like they're offline, right? Then for no reason, or you just can't join somebody when their party is open and whatever. And for a lot of people out there, I've had it in my chat or in my comments say, "Oh, well, it's because you play on a PS4." And it's like, okay, look, I have a PS4. I like playing on my PS4, and let's think about this from a casual perspective too. A casual player, shouldn't have to go out and get a $3,000 PC setup just to play a freaking game, right? So I think everybody, whether you're playing on PC or PS4 or whatever, you just expect stability. You expect it to work the first time. And for those people who think it's just, well, you're just on older hardware. A friend of mine was on PC the other day. We were playing some Warzone. She had the same problem, and she was disconnected offline.
I can guarantee you, like, PC will obviously run better or whatever, but It's definitely a crossplay thing. I think that's what I've noticed lately. It doesn't matter if you're on an Xbox, I've seen all types of players in different platforms have these same problems, and it seems like it's an Activision ID crossplay bug as well, or a NAT type issue with internet, which is something we can't even control. Because my NAT type should always be open, but lately it was like moderate the past like 2 days. It's like I don't. So NAT, there's so many factors involved here. I can promise you it's not the PS4. I think that could be an issue though for like MW2 or future games, because then they're going to be more demanding.
Maybe.
And then hardware starts getting outdated. But yeah, not everybody should have to get a PC for anything like that. I mean, I think it's recommended for sure, but I don't think that's the solution to all these stability problems we're getting right now. It's just not it.
Definitely PC is recommended if you want to go on Warzone, snort 2 tons of G Fuel, and go crazy on Rebirth.
Inject it into your veins and just hop on Rebirth and go.
Exactly.
The sweats, man. Yeah, Jungle. I don't know how much Jungle have you played in Cold War.
I played a handful of matches. Unfortunately, my matches have been plagued with super tryhards, super giga chads.
Okay, so WMD was a different story. WMD did not feel that crazy. Yeah, there were sweaty lobbies here and there, but Jungle has been like consistently just over the top where I can't even react. I'm getting sniped, like no scopers, PC, keyboard and mouse users, Tech 9s. I mean, it's really rough right now. I'm sure it'll get better, but WMD was not like that. Maybe more people understand Jungle better, so they know exactly where to camp and where to
potentially,
stop. But no, it's been rough, man. It was a very rough experience, but it's been an interesting couple of days.
I mean, the one thing is what I really hope that they do is, not just have Jungle for multiplayer, but Jungle for Zombies Onslaught, and also WMD for Zombies Onslaught. I think a lot of people would really appreciate that. And especially since, you've covered it before, Lego Unlock's covered it before, people are able to force load these Onslaught maps that aren't in the game yet to play Onslaught on. And I think that's such a fascinating thing that, okay, it's ready to go. And then, they have that Treyarch developer there saying, well, it needs to be tested more. I'm a little confused. Like, what needs to be tested? Like, what's happening on the back end that maybe needs to be tested,
I actually don't know, man, because I look at the gameplay that's out there of all the unreleased Onslaught maps. The orb moves properly. The spawns look fine. No death barriers. I mean, it looks ready to go, but we're not devs or engineers, so we can't speak for them. But either I'm sure that's the truth, but if it's not the truth, then maybe it's just their way of saying, yeah, we're going to bring it at a later date or something. They have a plan, because they already confirmed they're bringing out all the Onslaught LTMs again for Xbox and PC that missed them. So the mode is going to get updates. And I'm glad they brought back Outbreak Collapse. I love that mode. It's so crazy.
Oh, it's really fun.
But for the Onslaught maps, I'm like, so many of them would play excellent. And I'm really hoping we see that, because it's like I mentioned, they announced, Jungle's coming out tomorrow. For MP fans, everyone's like cheering, hey, hello, what's up? And then Zombies fans are like, at least they got the gun, right? but it'd be cool if on the same day they got at least an Onslaught update with that new map. That'd be fair. But I'm not a glitcher by any means. I don't know how people figure this out. It's the same concept as custom mutations from BO4, where they find this stacking method where they somehow glitch out MP, and then they manage to bring MP settings into Zombies to add all these modifications and settings, and they somehow figure out a way to force load any map. It's really weird how it works.
Jeez.
It's very complicated. You have to have a second account and another controller. It's like all these. It's a process, man. And by no means am I even. I never learned how to do it, but I was invited to a lobby before with a map that was loaded and whatnot. So it's it's such a process. I don't know how people even figure this out. I don't get it.
I mean, it is kind of crazy. Yeah. It is really, really crazy how people just go in depth with all of this and how they just find stuff. I mean, it's wild. It's really, really wild.
Right.
And I know the thing is too with the Onslaught LTMs. Originally, what I thought was going to happen was, with every update that they would do every month and a half or whatever, that would be one Onslaught LTM. So like this update would be Mystery Munitions. This update would be Diminishing Light. Yep. But that just hasn't been the case. So I'm honestly thinking that they'll just maybe drop them all at once at this point, because
a mosh pit or something.
Yeah, like LTMs, a mosh pit, and then like you can vote for your region and Outbreak. You can vote for your Zombies Onslaught map and the mode. So it's like, this one says Raid Mystery Munitions, and this one says Apocalypse. What's Diminishing Light again? Like you just vote for whatever. But I don't know. I just really want to play those modes again. Those were really freaking fun.
Yeah, a few of them didn't even last that long when they first dropped. I remember they were in for like a week and a half and they disappeared. I don't know if the player count was that. I don't know if there was an issue, but I would assume there's a mosh pit coming. I mean, year 2 is far from over. That's what I always tell people. Even if we don't get any more MP maps, there's still a lot left in store that is on deck, at least ready to go. So hopefully all that comes out. But yeah, for Onslaught, I mean, it's such an underrated mode. I think there's people out there that still haven't played Onslaught after it got significantly overhauled with all the great changes, and they're like, "Oh, Onslaught sucks." Like, have you played it recently? Because it's fun now. It actually, I mean, especially with the super Easter egg reward, you could really go in and have a good time now. It's a lot simpler and more in depth at the same time.
I used to not like Onslaught at all, and then they completely overhauled it, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, I love Onslaught now. You know, I mean,
let's do it,
man. Especially with the LTMs. I loved making videos about all the LTMs and just playing through those for the first time, and especially Mr. Munitions being gun game for zombies every round.
God, dude.
I mean,
that was my favorite one.
That's such a cool idea.
Easily. What was I'm sure you talked about this last week in your other episode, but what was everyone's reaction to the super Easter egg with Cold War? I'm very curious on your thoughts on that.
So the super Easter egg, obviously a lot of the people in the zombies community were very disgruntled with it, and they were like, oh, this is all we get, because a lot of people think, well, if it's not Zombies Chronicles 2, then it's gonna be bad, right? So it's just I don't know. But me personally, I think it's a good reward. I love that you start the game with an epic rarity weapon. Stickers or emblems in this game, they're like, whatever, calling card, again, whatever. It's cool for Zombies fans if you want to use that. The watch is pretty cool too. But, I mean, of course, the main takeaway from this all is the epic rarity loadout weapon. And it's much better than the RK5 from Black Ops 3. And because it has more value. Which one would I prefer to use or have? A purple rarity weapon right at the beginning of the game where I don't have to use my salvage and I don't have to grind to get it, and it's already ready for me because I did something in the game that helped me get there, or an RK5 I can walk up on the wall and pay 500 points for.
Yeah, and get rid of within like 10 rounds.
And especially because you can use it with every single weapon in Black Ops Cold War. Well, minus the wonder weapons, but every weapon in Black Ops Cold War, you can just boom, purple rarity right away. And I think Treyarch was very smart for doing this too, because with the UGR Zombies Unlock challenge, you get the super Easter egg done. Hey guys, here's a little bit of a reason for you to do it. You want the new shiny gun. Here's an easy way for you to do it. So
get 1,000 kills with an epic rarity weapon. You spawn in with one. It's that simple. I mean, it was an unnecessary controversy. I get it. I think the way they marketed it was a little clickbaity. They were like, oh, 12 unique rewards plus a permanent upgrade. It's like, well, if you would have said 12 cosmetic rewards and a permanent upgrade, that would have at least set the tone better, because we know it's going to be something simple. But they said 12 unique rewards. That's why we're all speculating, like, oh, is it going to be points, perks? It was 12 emblems. I'm like, okay. It's like, I get it. It was smart marketing on their part, but at least the permanent upgrade did actually deliver. And
for sure,
I just, it was an unnecessary controversy though, especially from people that didn't even plan on playing it anyway, or people that weren't even close to getting their super Easter egg done. They were complaining about it. It's like, it's just something extra, man. Just try to be lighthearted about it. If Cold War's not your cup of tea, this update's not going to change your mind about it. So you might as well just skip. You might as well just skip.
And yeah, man, the fact of the matter is, even people who don't have all the Easter eggs done, there is still something for you. Even if you have 2 Easter eggs done, you start with a green weapon or whatever. It's just
blue or something.
There's like no reason for everybody to be super up in arms about it. I mean, everyone was kind of expecting this to be IW's super Easter egg all over again, because I mean, I here's the thing. I can kind of understand where people are coming from, because Cold War is a really good game, and there's a lot of fun things about it that you really, your imagination, the sky is the limit for Cold War, realistically, right? So I guess I kind of understand where people are coming from. We're like, oh, we're gonna get director's cut Cold War edition, but like, like as much as I would have liked that too. I mean, who the hell wouldn't like that? Let's be honest here. I think when people are like, oh, you're happy with this, you wouldn't like that we had a boss fight. No, that's not it. Like,
you're happy with this, Activision pays your bills. Like, yeah, totally.
Seriously though, it's like I'm in the same boat as you are, man. I appreciate what we have, and it's better than nothing. It's totally better than nothing. And, would it be nice to have a director's cut or a Mephistopheles, whatever type thing for Cold War? Sure, absolutely. Nobody is against that. But, given the circumstance and given what's happening, Treyarch, in their own way, in their own right, didn't have to do anything. And they did. And there you go. I mean, and it's also kind of teasing the next little iteration of Dark Aether too, with the demon and
Yes.
our ways are the old ways, and you're gonna learn more soon, and like what's gonna happen there. And
I love that, man.
It's awesome. It's really awesome to hear. Which also kind of goes with the Dark Aether storyline in Vanguard right now, with all the demons and court effects, and that's the one thing that really has to be at this point the saving grace for Vanguard is Dark Aether, because you have something very interesting here to really set up the lore and the world building, and that's super, super important for a fantasy-like franchise, especially deep rooted in all these mythological aspects. I mean, with Shinonuma Reborn, there's got to be heavy storyline drops. There's got to be something huge planned, because right now we're kind of in this state of limbo with what's going on. And the thing is, too, I know for a fact that, a lot of people want to see more out of the Dark Aether storyline, including Kaiser Johnson. We talked to him on the podcast a little while back, the voice of Von List. He wants to see more out of his character, too. He wants to, do more with Von List. So I feel like people are passionate about the storyline for what it's worth, but like the gameplay isn't like really there, which makes people very disconnected from everything, where it's like, oh yeah, we gotta fight court effects and we gotta like do whatever, do the same thing 3 times in a row. Like, I don't know. It's very weird, but to make a long story short, Dark Aether's gotta have a huge story drop pretty soon for people to like really go, ooh, hang on a second, maybe I should have been paying attention. Or, Shinonuma Reborn just has to be a really good map for people to actually come back. And if this map isn't good, GG.
Oh yeah, GG. I think it's very difficult to have stakes and to have hype around anything that is a prequel, because you're always like, all right, no matter what happens here, it's got to lead to this. Because since Vanguard Zombies is a prequel, it's like, all right, what could really happen that's that crazy that would also serve as a prequel? It's like, well, we fight court effects, hopefully a cool boss fight, something wild, and then we see Zykov at the end become the Forsaken and consume everything. That's likely what's going to happen, or what we're going to see in a cutscene at least. And other than that, though, I think expectations should be set at a reasonable level, because considering Vanguard's the king of canceled DLC, we shouldn't expect too much. But Shinonuma Reborn has to hit. It has to do something for that game to at least wrap up with some type of a bang. But at the same time, too, people are still going to be like, oh, I played this map 10 years ago. I don't care. It's like, yeah, I don't think Shinonuma Reborn is going to win people's love or win people over to start loving Vanguard Zombies. It's just going to be something that hopefully is better than Duran Fun Terra Maledicta, but it makes you wonder, what was the original plan for VGZ, right? Was it just 4 objective-based maps like Duran Fun? And now what they're going to do is leave it with 2 objective maps and then do 2 round-based maps, 4 total. Because I know I think it was a week and a half ago, another map leaked out that's not Shinonuma. I think it was Codename Green, which is Shinonuma, and Codename Red. So I think Codename Red's like a Dark Aether round-based map or something. But
probably.
But then you're also like, wait, when does that come out? Because if Vanguard's only getting 5 seasons, are we going to get like back-to-back round-based drops? Then that's a little weird to think about.
I mean, that's really the only explanation for it, to be honest.
There's not much time left,
there's really not much time, and especially the thing is, I think the original plan was to make everything objective based, because it's just very clear to me that Treyarch had this idea to combine Outbreak and round based and to make a hybrid game mode, and because of the time constraints and because of everything being the way it is, they didn't really get to fully live out their vision, it seemed like to me. And I was a huge what's the word I'm looking for? I was a huge supporter, I guess, for lack of a better term, of advocate. There you go. I was a huge advocate for these 2 game modes combined could be a very interesting thing, and I think it could be interesting. And then we get to Vanguard, and I go, okay, maybe we shouldn't do this. But then at the same time, you also have to think about, well, what would have happened if they actually got to work on this as their main game? What would happen if they actually got to work on this as if objective based was treated the same way Cold War was treated, what would have been more polished? What would have been more thought out and fleshed out? What would have actually happened there? Would we actually have pausing at launch? Things like that kind of were very just made people disconnected from the game. So, I mean, I honestly, at this point moving forward, I think it's very clear to Treyarch that, okay, we're not going to do any more objective based. I think people don't really like this anymore. I think they're done.
it's just it's a really unfortunate thing because what I really don't like is that because of the shortcomings of Vanguard, it almost stains the progress that Cold War made with trying to do something else alongside round based, like a sandbox objective mode. Vanguard Zombies kind of takes us back a couple of steps, and it kind of says, "Hey, don't do anything different. Just stay with the norm." But like you said, if they had time to actually work on VGZ, the hybrid might have been able to work. It might have been successful. However, I think the objective focus in Vanguard is still better than what would have ended up being like an empty, half-ass round-based experience with no Easter eggs. With not, it would have been empty. So I think it's better that we got what we got, and not them ruining the reputation of round based and giving us like these really empty maps that feel nothing like the Cold War ones. I think it worked out. Hopefully, Shinonuma though is a packed round based map with enough quests and things to actually do. Not just it's like, oh, a basic survival, nothing you can do. It's like, no, I hope it's actually content filled. I'm hopeful for it though. We're still gonna play. It's like anybody, people out there. What's funny is people that talk the most crap, I think, are still going to play it. So
of course,
you're still going to try it. Of
course,
just try it out once and play it once, and then make your mind up. But judging it before it's out, it's just no point.
100%. As disheartened as I am about Vanguard in its current state, I'm still going to come back and play all the new stuff to give it a chance because I'm a Call of Duty fan and I want this franchise to succeed. And I think a lot of people on the podcast or who watch the podcast, they're going to get sick and tired of me saying this, but I'm going to keep saying it because for people who are maybe new to this podcast, this is their first episode. I talk a lot of hard. It's tough love. It's tough love for me in Call of Duty. I might say some things that maybe some perceive as negative, or some might be like, "Oh, well, that's just unnecessary," or "You're just being mean to the developers." That's not my intention at all. I want to give my honest feedback and my honest opinion about what's happening right now, so that the developers can learn, or if the developers want feedback, rather, is a better way to put it, because what do they learn from me? I'm not a game developer. Just audience feedback. And I want the franchise to succeed. I want Sledgehammer to succeed. I want Treyarch to succeed, and I want Infinity Ward to succeed. We just love good content, and when something's not good, we question that, and we go, what happened here? Should you guys be working on a game? Should you guys be like, what's going on? And again, it's that tough love situation there where, I want you to succeed, but I'm going to give it to you how it is. And if it's not good, it's not good.
Yeah, honesty is important, but there's a way to express tough love while being respectful, while providing constructive criticism, and people still find that hard to do, which I don't really get. It's like, it's not hard to not be an a-hole on Twitter or Reddit. It's just it's very simple actually to just be like, hey, this is my experience with the game so far. This is broken. This is not working. This is what you could do better. Have a good day. Like it's not that hard to do, and I don't know why that's hard for human beings to understand. Like, and I felt bad because Foxhound had tweeted this out. Dev at Treyarch, he had tweeted out recently. He's like, I think he had said thank you to somebody. He was being really respectful in a tweet to him. He's like, yeah, it's hard to get tweets like this. It's hard to see people being this open about what we could do better, without being just over the top aggressive or just condescending or rude, because they're human beings too. And people also, for some reason, forget that they don't make all the shots, or they don't call all the shots at Treyarch or any dev studio. There's people above them to make decisions that they have nothing to do with, and there's nothing they can do about it unless they want to lose their job. So people just need to wake up a little bit, smell the coffee with what's really happening behind the scenes.
I agree, man.
It's crazy.
I 100% agree with that. I think a lot of people, and this might maybe go a little bit into the this is kind of a weird thing to say for a podcast like this, but I'm gonna say it anyways. It goes kind of into the maybe psychology of people wanting their, like, with the content being so rapid and easily accessible nowadays, and how everything is just move on to the next thing, move on, go, consume all this content. I think a lot of people are just very quick to be like, well, this thing isn't really good right away, and
impatient.
I just need something new, and go, and you suck, and fuck you, and like and then more. Like, it's just I don't know. To me, it just seems like there's this thing that where people are concerned, they kind of view the content in a way of, this is its own thing. Like, this is its own, how do I explain this? Because you don't see the people working on it, and because you don't see behind the scenes stuff most of the time, I think a lot of people and I'm not saying everybody, of course, but it's just something that I've noticed. I think a lot of people maybe make a disconnect with the fact that, yeah, this was made by a person. This isn't like the video game isn't just a video game because video games exist to exist. Video games and movies and things like that are made by teams and producers, directors, writers, and it just seems like to me with a lot of people consuming content, they maybe forget about that a little bit.
Oh yeah,
and go, because everything. A lot of people really think that everything is infinite, if that makes sense. Where with content is concerned, and where everybody is looking to pass the time. Everybody is looking to escape reality. When they escape their own reality and they get to content and they get to things that maybe have their brain turn off from reality. When you have an infinite source of that, you maybe almost lose a little bit of sense of reality yourself, because if something's always there and something's always infinite, that thing exists in that one place at that one time, easily accessible for people to feel good about. And then that kind of makes people lose track of the side of, well, there are other people who live normal lives outside of that infinite content. Yeah, their names are stamped onto that game because they worked on it, and that will be forever infinite. However, what's behind those names that actually makes a difference, and those passionate people that make a difference. And so,
well said, man.
I mean, it's just very interesting for me to see. I mean, the psychology of it is fascinating to me. I don't talk about it very often, but...
Oh yeah, no, it's good to go into that because people do live in different realities. I see it all the time. I mean, I've seen tweets recently actually with the Super Easter egg where someone was criticizing the emblems, whatever, saying it was garbage, blah blah blah, and then somebody replied to them like, "Yeah, it's better than getting nothing." And the guy's like, "Oh, well, I paid for this game." It's like, no, you paid for D Machine. You paid $70 or whatever for D Machine and the base game content. You didn't pay for any DLC, so you're actually obligated to nothing. The game could have literally gotten not one update, and that still would have been legal because you didn't pay for a season pass. You didn't pay for a good Super Easter egg. It's like, look at the reality here. Look at what you actually paid for. Pay attention to the fine print of what you're paying for, because it's not COD from 2015. It's not COD from 2010. It's COD from 2021, 2022. Literally just look at the reality we're in and what you're actually doing, what is being offered to you before you start judging and making assumptions about how better this could have been or what that is. Like it's really wild to see, especially like that data we talked about earlier. There's people who could be shown stamped evidence from the court in the United States. Fucking Supreme. People could be shown a stamped document from a goddamn United States Supreme Court and still would be like, oh no, I don't believe it. It's like, when you look at verifiable evidence, or you look at things that could be proven true on the spot, whatever, people still will dispute that. People will still try to go out of their way to like, oh no, but try to show they're biased. It's like, dude, wake up a little bit. Not everything's sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes what we want is just not going to happen. We can't get everything we want, and sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes the truth is cold, and we just have to accept that and move on, right? It's like, people just want their way, and this is not how it works.
I mean, I think that's the thing with all live service things nowadays. I was a guest on another podcast a couple weeks ago, and I brought up this same topic where, because there's so many things that are live service, and you're kind of now, because this whole thing stemmed from a conversation we were talking about where, should Call of Duty be a subscription game where you pay a certain amount of money a month to play Call of Duty? And I said no, because the fact of the matter is, if you are to do that, then you don't own that game. So you're paying for their service, and you're at their mercy. And the fact of the matter is, I think would give them more of a reason not to update their game, because then it would be the fact that, okay, we can just make a bunch of money off of these subscriptions, and we're Activision, and we can just walk. Seriously though, because the thing is with Vanguard,
Vanguard feels like a live service game. Like it feels Vanguard actually feels like a literal live service game.
It feels like a live service game. Like people are literally still working on the coding of it. Like it's honestly insane to me, because like you were talking about, you paid for Cold War, you paid for the base version of that game, you paid for D Machina. When you pay for Vanguard, you're not getting a working product, and I think that's a huge problem. Because of the packet burst, of the latency issues, the server disconnects, everything that's just wrong with the game. You could make an argument that you've been ripped off. Now, the thing is, Cold War wasn't perfect. Black Ops 4 wasn't perfect. None of these games were perfect at launch. They had their own problems, but they've been remedied. Sure. They've been remedied. They've been worked on. They've been fixed. And exactly.
Yeah,
and so
that's what BO4, you're like, oh no, BO4 is broken. By December, that game was mint. From my experience, the game was mint.
No, 100%, man. 100%.
I never had a problem in BO4.
So I mean, it's one of those things where if Call of Duty were to go down that subscription-based thing, I think it would give them less of a reason to do that because you're at their mercy instead of them being almost at the consumer's mercy. Because if seriously though, because if the consumer buys a product that's broken, and we see this with Vanguard, everyone's like, "Fuck! I wasted money on this game. I keep getting booted. The packet burst, the this, the that, and nobody wants to play it." And you know, it kind of goes back to that, you know, you will own nothing and like it thing. And it's like,
will own nothing.
It's like I will not like this. Like I will not like this if this happens.
Right, I refuse. I'm praying, dude, that the gap we're about to get, because MW is gonna get a year 2 with no premium COD in 2023, and I know there's other rumored projects like remasters and stuff maybe coming out in 2023 to like fill that gap or whatever. Cool, but it's like you were just saying, when a game is live service, you're at their mercy. But with MW apparently getting 12 seasons, right, a year 2 confirmed according to the press.
Wow.
That could also be a case where they drop bare minimum each season because they have to spread everything out by 2 years, where it's not going to be like a full typical season like we're used to getting. It's not going to be 12 of those. It might just be 6, but kind of all cut in half to become 12. That would suck. I mean, that's why I'm concerned about MW2 getting a year 2. Be careful what you wish for, because seriously, man, it might not be what people expect, honestly. Agreed. That, and then I also think if we went to a subscription model, I think it could be done right. But at the same time, it almost feels like we're already at a state, especially with Vanguard, where the game could legally release in an abysmal state because they know they have a full year to fix it. And that's dumb about the COD cycle. It's like, oh, the game's complete after 8-9 months of DLC. Like, no, we want the game to be complete day 1, and then the DLC can add actual new things, not modes and features that should be in day 1. Right. So they can focus on actual good new content. No, it's like right now, especially with Vanguard, we're seeing things that should have been in the game day 1 are coming out more than halfway through the cycle. That's just
exactly.
And then to go to your point about, you know, a live service, imagine how much worse that could be if we were at their mercy with a subscription every month. Maybe under Microsoft leadership, they can make that work. And I'm open to the idea under like Phil Spencer, not Bobby Kotick though. I'm curious though. I'm really curious.
Oh no, I definitely get where you're coming from. Where it can work, but you know, again, that's the thing where I'm just very concerned. I'm very, very concerned if something like, because if anything, that's kind of what the Xbox Game Pass was going to be. If Call of Duty is only available through that, or not only available, but you know what I mean. Like if Call of Duty is available to you know, those players from those consoles, in that way, it's kind of it'd be kind of a weird thing. Because, okay, I get it. You're also going to maybe be getting Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 1, all the OG CODs, if they're all going to be on the Game Pass as well. But, you know, I'm just very concerned about it because I don't want Call of Duty to just become Netflix. You know what I mean? Like I don't want Call of Duty to become Disney Plus, where it's just one of those things where, like...
That's ironic. What about that app they got rumored? The Hub?
The Hub? What was that one?
The Hub rumor where like this COD 2.0 update where there'll be like a Hub application and it'll show you all the active CODs at once, Disney Plus style, and I think you have the option to install all of them also at once. You have a seamless transition from one to another. So I'll send you a concept art.
Definitely,
after we're done here. Yeah, so it's literally a Disney Plus like layout, and it'll be this whole new social space, I believe, where the friends list will look all crazy and whatnot. I think leaked images are out there from like the usual suspects, but there's concept art that was redone regarding this idea, and that's apparently what COD 2.0 is. So yeah, it's funny you mentioned Disney Plus because it's literally about to be Disney Plus.
See, like that's
with the way the app. That's so funny, man.
That's very like I'm apprehensive about that because the fact of the matter is, with you know, like I just said, if anything, this would give them more of a reason to not want to update the game. This will also give them more of a reason to maybe stretch things out a little bit more because look, guys, everything's just all in one place now at your fingertips, and you know we'll get there eventually. You know we'll get all that stuff eventually. You know, enjoy all the other stuff while we you know hang out and do this, right? And it's just like maybe things won't be updated as much. I really don't think. And the fact of the matter is, especially with the service like Netflix and things like that, you know, they remove shows and they remove things. I don't want COD to be one of those things where, okay, we just straight up remove this content, you know, have fun. But they also kind of do that already, right? They do that kind of already with LTMs and things like that. You know, we see kind of the seedlings of this eventually being a thing because remember, whenever a huge change happens, it happens suddenly, and then all at once. So we see the seedlings happening and sprouting up right now. They're more apparent as we look things in retrospect that, okay, with live service Call of Duties, LTMs, updates, and especially with this Microsoft acquisition, Call of Duty is going to be in a very interesting state of, I guess from what you're talking about now, if that thing's been rumored out there, potentially the Disney Plus model, which I'm just concerned about. Man. I'm concerned.
And maybe there'll be something where you pay a subscription, and if you pay for the subscription, it'll give you all the games. You have to have a lot of space, obviously. It'll give you all the games at once, like all installed in that one app, instead of the option of individually buying each one. I'm sure there'll be like some type of choice with a feature like that, but yeah, I don't know how to feel about it, but what I do feel is that a storm is coming. I think once MW2 drops, I think we're about to see, like you said, a very sudden shift. I don't know how to feel about that. I feel like that's what's needed right now. But at the same time, it could be for better, but it could be for worse, where all of a sudden we're like, oh my God, this is too much. Let's go back to the old formula. But sometimes we gotta wake up and get good and evolve and adapt, right? It's like that might be a case for a lot of us this fall, where we're like, oh, we're getting a change like that, and then it's so I think it's gonna hit us suddenly. I don't think it's gonna be like this thing where it's like, oh yeah, gradually shifting to this. I think it's gonna be like, boom, this is out, that's canceled. F you, can't use your bundles there. Let's it might
because we've already been through those gradual stages. Like it's already been there. So that's where the sudden shift is going to happen. Yeah, 100%. And I think the main thing where I'm concerned about the if Call of Duty were to be a subscription model, to kind of articulate my thoughts a little bit better. I know I might seem like I'm all over the place, but to kind of articulate what I mean better is that when you own a product, you own that thing, that has that value to you, that you paid your money to say, oh yeah, I'm going to invest my time into this. And, I expect a product that works. If you don't own that thing, like I was saying, you'll own nothing and like it. If you don't own that thing, there's no reason for that person to listen to your feedback if they own that thing and you're paying them for you to use it because that's their thing, right? Now, the other thing would be, well, why wouldn't they listen to subscribers? Don't they want to keep players, and don't they want to keep numbers, and don't they? Well, if you were smart, yeah, sure, listen to subscribers and maybe implement some changes, especially if something is super subscription based. But that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is because when you have a company as large as Activision and they already rake in millions of dollars, what would it matter if like 100? Of maybe 100, maybe even 1,000 people, if this were to go to a subscription thing, those people, all 1,000 people own a subscription, and all those 1,000 people say, no, we don't like this. Why would they care? Why would they care realistically if it's their thing? You're already paying them to use it every month,
right?
Because you don't own that thing; they still own it. Yeah. So it's
like, what's the point of really listening to the feedback in depth?
Yeah,
I totally get where you're coming from. It's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, it could be problematic if not done correctly.
100%.
I'm very interested in how they do it, though. I just think maybe Microsoft leadership can really ensure a smooth transition or something like that. But this is a Division C podcast, so we have to acknowledge that, like you mentioned, with that gradual shift and how we kind of already have seen it. Mm-hmm. I think that's the most noticeable with Zombies. I think people out there are still in denial that Zombies is shifting from just that typical formula, which people were already complaining was getting old. It's already shifting into, okay, we'll still have round-based for you, but we're also going to do something like Onslaught, where you can play on MP maps that have more maps to just grind camels on and chill. And we're also going to give you the sandbox objective mode, which is only guaranteed to get better with the next Treyarch game. I think people always forget. I said it's about Extinction because Lee Ross the other day confirmed that Extinction 2 had a prototype, blah, blah, blah. I made a video about it. So I'm like, oh, I'm an Extinction fanboy. So I'm like, hell yeah. I think whenever something new gets introduced, like a mode or something like a sandbox feature, it's almost inevitable. It's guaranteed almost for it to be better with its second iteration, because it's all about that constructive feedback with the first version, so that they can make all those changes either on the fly for the first version or to incorporate those features and those changes in the second version. So it's like whenever something new comes out, like DMZ this fall for MW2, the rumored Tarkov mode,
right?
People need to really be like, okay, maybe even if it's not that fun at launch, just give it a shot and be like, hey, this is what you can change about it. This is what you can improve, and see what happens. And then maybe either that version can get better or the next one. But to Zombie specifically, it's like Outbreak for sure is coming back. I think that was probably a very big reason why Cold War was as successful as it was. People
Agreed.
don't want to admit that, but it's like I said at the beginning, we're all on the same team here. Zombies are zombies. Who cares? It's
Yeah.
like still play what you prefer, but just allow something else to come into fruition because it's obviously opening up the mode to so many more people than it ever was before. So
Hmm.
give it a shot. It's like I think it certainly has a lot of potential, even more potential when they actually have a full 3-year dev cycle to like bring in something crazy replayable. It's like, let's see.
For sure. I mean, and Outbreak, in my opinion, is already a really solid mode. Like,
Yeah.
you got the objectives that I think, the thing that's good about the objectives to me is that unlike objective based, because a lot of people will be like, oh, well, how come you like the objectives in Outbreak? We don't like the objectives in Vanguard because,
Yeah,
they're
apples and
almost the
oranges,
same
man.
thing, right? It is apples and
Yeah.
oranges because with the way
Yeah.
Cold Wars is set up, Cold Wars, like the holdout objectives are way different than the holdout objectives or Blitz in Vanguard.
Blitz.
They're
Yeah.
they're totally different. Which, by the way, a little bit off topic. I'll get back to my point. I think it's funny that the objective is called Blitz. Oh yeah, we need to go on the offensive against Cortifex, and it's like we're defending an area, like they're attacking us.
Yeah.
Seems kind of
We're
weird.
defensive, not offensive. Yeah.
Right, but then the thing is, anyways, with like holdout, escort, things like that. The maps are so open and expansive that it's like, where do I get to go now with the rover escorting the rover? What kind of area do I have to defend the zombie head? What do I have to do here? And like the areas are super unique and super interesting in all the maps that you just go, huh? There's something here. It kind of makes me get good. It forces me to get a little bit better, adapt my play styles a little bit more. Side objectives like the helicopter and the dragon and things like that.
Love that stuff.
That's amazing stuff. I mean, that's the kind of stuff. Yeah.
It's unfairly criticized though from people that played it in February when it came out, when it was in a bare bones state. And I get it, right? Maybe it should have come out with more content, more to do. It was fairly bare bones when it first came out, but like people that still have the same opinion about Outbreak, it's like you just haven't played the at least season 6 and forwards version of Outbreak with all the side objectives, all the crazy stuff. So and it goes back to the live service thing. It's like, typically with the COD cycle, games just get infinitely better with time, with months, and people should understand this, especially for something like Outbreak. But what I would like to see is the second iteration of Outbreak to launch in the state that right now Outbreak is in, with all that shit you could do. If it does that and then adds to it with another 6 seasons or 12 seasons, because it might get a year or two, then dude, that's what needs to happen. And I'm sure they can do that. But it's like I said, what we don't want to see is like, oh, Vanguard Zombies stain the progress Objective Zombies has made to where they just go back to nothing but round-based in the next game. That will suck because there's so much potential there. But people are bound to be like, oh, yeah, this is bad, that's bad. And then 5 years later, they're like, hey, that wasn't that bad. They should bring that back. It's like, well, we're not getting Extinction again. Fuck you, pretty much, right? We're not getting that again.
Dude, right? I mean,
we had our shot with that and people didn't like it. So, yeah, we're not getting that.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, I think every dev needs to come out with their own third PvE mode, right? Their third type of game mode that's PvE. I think Extinction was a very good blueprint for something from Infinity Ward. We're not getting that again. I think they're about to come out with DMZ, the Escape from Tarkov thing. That might be their baby. That might be their zombies. So I think if that's successful, I want every dev to have that. Every dev should have their baby. And Treyarch should just be the only one doing zombies now because, that's...
I would agree, dude. I would 100% agree with that. I think with everyone being, looking back on certain Call of Duties, wow, that wasn't too bad. I honestly don't think we'll get that with Vanguard. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you.
No, there's just no logic.
And then the thing is with Outbreak 2, if that's gonna be a thing in Treyarch's next game, if they do what you were talking about there, would they release Outbreak 2 in the state that it is right now with all the other stuff, and then they just continually update it? It will surpass round-based. It will surpass the old Zombies formula, and that will be the new Zombies. And I'm all right with that if it's, a good solid game mode and things work pretty well, and things aren't ridiculous and things aren't, overly a pain in the ass. But then of course, keep round-based in there too, because you can never forget your roots. Yeah, you don't want to.
We don't want to. Like, I think there's this misconception that if you like Outbreak, you're just like a round-based hater, and you're new to the zombie scene. It's like, dude, I've been playing since 2007, 2008. I've been playing COD forever, man. I don't want round-based to go away, but I think it might be a case like with how Warzone kind of took over the MP scene a little bit, where MP is still important, at least to me.
A
but
new
it's
focus.
certainly not. It's certainly not the current focus. The new focus is Warzone. So I think Outbreak might be the new focus compared to round based going forward in the next game. I think that's probably where we're headed, and I'm open to it as long as it's done right. I'm open to it. But there's people that think like you have to really be one-sided. You got to pick one. It's like just play everything, just enjoy everything, give everything a chance, play what you like. We're all on the same team, playing the same goddamn franchise, giving the same company our money. It's like it's not a war. Like there was like some cringe thing being said recently about this war. Like there's no war, dude. Just play what you like. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's like it's not that serious, man. It's like don't take yourself that serious.
Maybe this is the Great War DLC that we were supposed to be getting. The community imploding on itself.
The real Great War is right here, IRL. And the real super Easter egg was the friends we made along the way, dude. There you go.
Yeah. I love that.
That's it, man.
I love that.
It's literally the truth, man. That's reality right there.
Man, crazy stuff going on though. I mean, before we wrap it up here for this episode, this was a very insightful talk. I think a lot of things that were talked about today really needed to be said. And with the state that Call of Duty is in right now, I think it's very important to have a lot of these meaningful conversations and just straight up being brutally honest with everything, and to really just paint that picture. And I know with viewers out there at home, you guys got to paint your own picture too. We're just two talking heads on the screen right now, and I know you guys like to enjoy watching podcasts and things like that, and I very very much appreciate that. However, form your own opinion. And if you agree with what I say, cool, that's great. And you agree with what DK says, cool, that's great. But I think another thing is too, if you just go off of, well, this YouTuber guy said it was bad, so I'm not gonna like that. That's just not being a person. So you have to make your own opinions about all this stuff. And maybe you love Vanguard. Maybe you think it's the greatest game ever, and whatever. That's fine with us. We're gonna disagree.
Disagreements are healthy, man. Disagreements are so healthy. They need to happen in order to have really constructive conversations. It's like you said, man, there's YouTubers sometimes that have really out there takes, and that's cool. That's cool. But it's like recently I disagreed with a certain creator on his stance on, Cold War Zombies and the year 2 updates. And I said in my video, like, this is not a drama driven thing. It's not some like thing where I'm jealous about him having more subs. It's like, I just said, hey, this is what was said. I disagree with it. Let's be respectful. I was on board and said, hey, let's just be upfront, be honest, be calm about it. And there's people in the comments like, oh, you're attacking this. I'm like, no one's attacking anybody. But I heard something outrageous that was said that also wasn't objectively true. And I said, hey, this is not right, whatever. And that's healthy to do. It's have an open disagreement and just move the conversation forward, get both sides out there. Debates are great, but there's a certain way to do them. I think that's the moral of the story. Definitely.
Yeah, you have to be civil about it. And if one side is just the open side of this is what everybody should think and this is how everybody should feel about something, and then you partner that with vitriol and you constantly just attack people for having a different opinion, that's just not cool. That's just not cool. I seriously question the fact that maybe can you have a debate if you are like that, and I don't say that to be mean, like it's just like, can you actually debate somebody without being like, oh, L ratio cringe, you fell off,
bozo.
It's just
that's not, I don't know. It's not productive. It's like, especially when you're going in circles and when someone's trying to dispute factual information and things that can be proven, you're wasting your time trying to like debate. It's just, there's no point. Just move on and it just, or just reply with a meme, reply with a GIF or something and just move on. Like there's just no point in trying to prove yourself, by defending a corporation doesn't know you exist. Like just move on. It's not the end of the world. It's like, it's just this. Yeah, you
got a lot of those tweets out there that are like bait tweets, right? Where people are just big Cold War Zombies sucks. And then like all these people in the comments are like, like you're super crazy about it.
Sweating. They're like, BO3 premise rules better than the epic rarity upgrade. It's like you just know that these people don't believe what they're saying, or they'll be like, oh yeah, Outbreak was a downfall of zombies. It's like, dude, look at that data. Cold War peaked because of thanks to Outbreak too. It's like it's the copium, bro. Like the copium balloon that's out there, man. It's hilarious, but
for sure, man.
Yeah, no. I can't wait to be called. We're gonna be called shills after this episode goes up for sure. Even though I'm open to fully talking about the shortcomings that Cold War has and the issues and things Treyarch could do better. I'm open to talking about all of it. Like I may prefer their content style over MW, whatever. But I'm open to talking about the problems, the things that were silly. I even said we were a little clickbaited by the whole emblem BS and the super Easter egg. For sure, I'm open to talking about all of it. I won't deny that. But yeah, we're top paid shows over here, right here. Our bills are getting paid, and we're living the life, man.
Oh man,
Exactly.
it's honestly wild. It's honestly super wild out there. But you know what? At the end of the day, yeah, just make your own opinion. And if you disagree, cool. If you agree, cool. Like we're all in this together, like you were saying. We're on the same boat.
No hard feelings, man. No hard feelings.
But anyways, guys, that'll about do it for episode 88 of the Division Z podcast. What was your favorite part, and what was your favorite thing that we discussed? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Also, DK is linked down below in the description, of course. Check out his content. He works really hard on those nudes videos, always finding something to talk about, and in periods where a lot of people might not think there's something to talk about, and I really commend that. So it's that, it's really good content, man. So do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap things up?
It's been an honor being on this episode again, or being on this podcast again. I'd love to do it again. I know I had you on Bombshell a couple of months ago. Definitely got to do that again.
Hell yeah.
My podcast every Friday. And we got to get K Cosmic on there too. I definitely want to get him on the podcast as well. We can just do all four of us or something at some point.
For sure.
But yeah, no, loving what you're doing here with this podcast, dude. It's such a healthy conversation to have with different people, getting different thoughts out there, and
for sure
discussing everything going on, because there's so much happening. But with that being said, though, I mean, we'll love to do this again. I love doing podcasts. I love these long form conversations. So I really appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
Hey, well, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for taking the time out of your day. And of course, out there in the United States, happy Mother's Day to all of you awesome mothers out there.
Yes.
And
yes.
I guess that's about it, ladies and gentlemen. Again, check out the links down below in the description so you stay up to date with everything Division Z does. And with that said, before we go, one final thing, Division Z is hosting another Stack Up charity event June 3rd. The donation link is active throughout the entirety of 2022. So if you guys want to donate before, during the event, or afterwards at any time, the donation link is available for you at any time. Or if you want to learn more about Stack Up and what they do for veterans and their programs, they're also linked down below in the description. Division Z is very, very proud to be partnering with them once again this year for Call to Arms 7 in their campaign. And there is that as well. So once again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next time. Peace out.